A sudden wave of reports is raising serious questions about one of the most powerful leaders in the world and what it could mean at a very critical moment. Right now, attention is turning toward Benjamin Netanyahu, not because of a political move, but because of something far more personal: his health. According to circulating reports, there are claims suggesting that he may be facing a serious medical condition, possibly prostate cancer, and that he could be undergoing radiotherapy treatment. These reports have not been fully confirmed in detail, but they are spreading quickly and gaining global attention. The reason the situation is creating such strong reactions is not just about the health issue itself, it's about timing. Netanyahu is not just any political figure. He is leading a country during a very sensitive and complex period. Any news related to his ability to lead, even if uncertain, naturally raises concern, curiosity, and questions. At this stage, the information remains unclear. Some reports are said to be linked to Israeli media sources, but there has not been a full, detailed official statement confirming all aspects of these claims. This creates a space where speculation begins to grow, and in today's world, even unconfirmed information can spread fast and shape public perception before the full truth is known. This is where things become more serious. When it comes to world leaders, health is not just a private matter. It can become a public issue. People begin to ask, is the leader fully capable of handling pressure? Can important decisions still be made effectively? Is there something bigger happening behind the scenes that the public does not yet know? At the same time, it is important to stay balanced. Health reports, especially when not fully confirmed, can sometimes be misunderstood or exaggerated. Medical conditions like prostate cancer can vary widely. In many cases, they are treatable, especially when detected early. Treatments like radiotherapy are commonly used and can be part of a normal recovery plan. So while the words may sound serious, the actual situation may not always be as alarming as it first appears. Still, the concern is understandable. Netanyahu has been a central figure in Israeli politics for many years. His decisions have a direct impact not only on his country, but also on regional and global situations. So naturally, any uncertainty around him draws attention far beyond national borders. Another key factor here is trust. When information is limited or unclear, people start looking for answers on their own. This can lead to rumors, mixed narratives, and confusion. Some may believe the reports fully, while others may question their accuracy. Without clear communication, this gap only grows wider. This is exactly why moments like this become more than just news. They become a test of transparency. People want clarity. They want to know what is real and what is not. They want to understand whether this is a serious situation or simply a case of incomplete information being spread too quickly. For now, what we have is a developing story. Reports are circulating, questions are being raised, but full confirmation and clear details are still limited. And until more verified information comes forward, everything remains in a space between possibility and reality. But one thing is certain: when a leader like Netanyahu becomes the center of such reports, the impact goes far beyond personal health. It opens the door to bigger questions, and those questions are only just beginning. The story doesn't become clearer when you look closer. In fact, it becomes more complicated. Much of what is being discussed right now traces back to reports said to be linked with CAN 11, often referred to as Channel 11. According to these circulating claims, there has been mention of a medical condition involving prostate cancer, along with the suggestion that radiotherapy treatment is already underway. But here's where things get important. These details are being shared without a full, clear official confirmation that explains everything step by step. So what exactly is being reported, and what is still uncertain? On one side, the claims sound serious. The words cancer and treatment immediately create concern. They suggest a situation that is not minor. At the same time, there is no complete medical report available to the public, no detailed timeline, and no clear explanation of the stage, severity, or current condition. This creates a gap between what is being heard and what is actually known. To understand this better, it helps to break things down in simple terms. Prostate cancer is a condition that affects a gland in the male body. It is not uncommon, especially in older men, and in many cases, it develops slowly. Some people live with it for years without it becoming life-threatening. Treatments vary depending on the stage. One of the common treatments is radiotherapy, which uses controlled radiation to target and destroy cancer cells. Now, hearing that someone is undergoing radiotherapy can sound alarming, but it does not automatically mean the situation is critical. In many cases, radiotherapy is part of a planned treatment process, and patients continue their daily routines while receiving it. This is an important detail that often gets lost when headlines focus only on the most dramatic words. But here's the real issue. Not the medical terms, but the lack of clarity. When information comes out in fragments, people try to connect the dots themselves. Some assume the worst, others dismiss it completely. And in between, there is confusion. Without a clear and direct statement that explains the full situation, every small detail becomes open to interpretation. Another thing to consider is how information spreads today. A single report can quickly turn into a widely accepted narrative, even if it started with limited or partial facts. Once it reaches global attention, it becomes difficult to separate what is confirmed from what is assumed. In this case, the mention of Con 11 gives the reports a level of credibility because it is a recognized media outlet. But even then, media reports can sometimes present early information that is not yet complete. That is why official confirmation always matters more than initial reporting. At the same time, there has not been a detailed public breakdown from official sources that fully addresses every claim being discussed. This silence, or limited communication, can sometimes create more questions than answers. People begin to wonder why more information is not being shared. Is it still being verified? Is it being kept private? Or is the situation simply not as serious as it sounds? This uncertainty is what keeps the story alive. It's also important to understand the difference between a report and a confirmed fact. A report means information is being shared, often based on sources or early findings. A confirmed fact means it has been clearly verified and officially stated. Right now, much of what is circulating falls closer to the first category than the second, and that distinction changes how the situation should be viewed. Instead of jumping to conclusions, this is a moment where careful attention matters. The details being discussed, prostate cancer, radiotherapy, medical updates, are all serious topics, but without full context, they can easily be misunderstood. So the real takeaway from these reports is not just about what is being said, but about what is still unknown. Because until clear, complete, and verified information is presented, the story remains open, shaped as much by questions as by facts. It's not just about health anymore. It's about what happens when uncertainty enters the center of power. When a leader like Benjamin Netanyahu becomes the subject of serious health reports, the impact doesn't stay personal. It begins to spread into decisions, stability, and even global perception. And that's where this situation becomes far more important than it first appears. Right now, Israel is going through a highly sensitive period, politically, militarily, and diplomatically. In such moments, leadership is expected to be sharp, active, and fully in control. Every decision carries weight. Every move is watched closely, not just by the public, but by allies and rivals around the world. So naturally, even the possibility of a health issue raises a deeper question. What happens behind the scenes if the leader is not operating at full strength? Leadership at this level is not just about giving speeches or appearing in public. It involves constant pressure, long hours, high-stakes meetings, and decisions that can change the direction of a country overnight. If there is even a small level of uncertainty in the leader's condition, it can quietly affect how people view those decisions. This is where perception becomes just as powerful as reality. Even if the situation is under control medically, the idea that something might be wrong can influence confidence. Supporters may start to feel uneasy. Critics may begin to question capability. And outside observers, especially other countries, may start analyzing the situation more closely. Because in global politics, stability is everything. A strong, stable leader sends a clear signal of control. But when questions appear, even without full confirmation, they can create a sense of unpredictability. And unpredictability is something that both allies and rivals pay close attention to. Another layer to this is decision-making itself. If a leader is undergoing treatment like radiotherapy, even if it is manageable, it still requires time, energy, and focus. Medical treatment can affect daily routines, schedules, and overall stamina. Now imagine balancing that with the responsibility of leading a nation during a tense period. It doesn't automatically mean decisions will be affected, but it introduces a possibility that people cannot ignore. And that possibility is enough to keep the conversation going. There is also the question of continuity. Governments are structured in a way that power does not depend on just one person. There are systems, advisors, and backup leadership roles in place. But in reality, certain leaders carry more personal influence than others. And Netanyahu is one of those figures. His experience, his style, and his role in shaping policy make him a central force, not just a symbolic one. So when his health becomes a topic, people don't just think about the present. They start thinking about the future. What if the situation changes? What if responsibilities need to shift? What if decisions start coming from a different place? These are not confirmed concerns, but they are natural questions that arise in moments like this. At the same time, it's important not to overreact. Leaders around the world have faced health challenges before and continue to perform their roles effectively. Medical treatment does not automatically mean weakness or inability. In many cases, leaders continue working without major disruption. But again, the key issue here is not just the condition, it's the clarity. Without clear, direct communication, the space between fact and assumption becomes wider. And in that space, narratives begin to form. Some may exaggerate the situation. Others may downplay it, but both sides are reacting to the same thing: uncertainty. And uncertainty, especially at the highest level of leadership, always carries weight. That's why this moment matters. Not because everything is confirmed, but because even the possibility is enough to shift attention, raise questions, and create a quiet sense of tension that extends far beyond one individual. Because when leadership and uncertainty meet at the same point, the effects are never limited to just one person. In the end, the biggest question is not what has been said, but what has not yet been clearly confirmed. Right now, the situation around Benjamin Netanyahu remains in a space where information is still developing. Reports are circulating, discussions are growing, and attention is increasing. But a complete, detailed, and fully verified picture is still missing. And that is exactly what keeps this story alive. Across media platforms and public conversations, reactions are starting to form. Some people are treating these reports as serious and worrying, while others are waiting for official clarity before drawing any conclusions. This split response is natural in situations like this, especially when the topic involves both health and leadership at the highest level. What makes it more complex is the speed at which information moves today. A single report can quickly turn into a global headline. Small details can be repeated, reshaped, and sometimes misunderstood. And before long, a developing situation begins to feel like a confirmed reality, even when it is not fully verified. This is why moments like this test not just leadership, but also how information is handled. People are not just looking for updates. They are looking for clarity. They want to understand what is actually happening, not just what is being suggested. And until that clarity comes, the space between fact and an assumption continues to grow. At the same time, it is important to remember that health is deeply personal. Even for a public figure, there are limits to what may be shared immediately. Medical details are not always released in full, and sometimes information comes out step by step. This does not always mean something is being hidden. It can simply mean the situation is still being managed privately. But when that privacy meets public responsibility, tension naturally appears. Because a leader is not just an individual, they are a symbol of stability, control, and direction. So when questions rise, even quietly, they begin to affect how people see that stability. Still, there's one important point that should not be ignored. Nothing is fully confirmed in complete detail at this stage. The reports may be based on real developments, or they may be partial pieces of a larger picture that has not yet been fully explained. That is why jumping to final conclusions at this moment can be misleading. This is a situation where patience matters more than reaction. Waiting for verified updates, understanding the difference between reports and confirmed facts, and staying aware of how information spreads, these are all important in making sense of what is happening. Because without that awareness, it becomes easy to confuse speculation with truth. And that brings us back to where this all started. A few reports, a few serious claims, and a lot of unanswered questions. Whether these reports turn out to be fully accurate, partially true, or simply misunderstood, one thing is certain. The discussion they have created is not going away anytime soon. As long as there is uncertainty, there will be attention. And as long as there is attention, there will be questions. So for now, the situation remains open. Not fully confirmed, not fully denied, but closely watched. Because sometimes it's not the confirmed facts that shape the moment, it's the questions that remain unanswered